So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again here with The Good Life with Steve. I'm Steve, and I have a question for you. I ask you, I've been noticing living outside of the U.S., all of the protests that are going on there in the U.S., and the question is, where's all the black people? Because right now, in cities across America, people are marching, they're demonstrating, they're angry, they're calling for justice, but this time, all the faces in the crowd, for the most part, they're all white. And it's got me thinking, why now? Why this moment? And why this woman? And I ask you, and it's not a rhetorical question, is America on trial? Because if it is, I think the closing arguments might go a little like this.
I want to tell you a story. I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes while I tell you this story. I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to yourselves. Go ahead. Close your eyes, please. This is a story about a little girl walking home from the grocery store one sunny afternoon. I want you to picture this little girl. Suddenly a truck races up. Two men jump out and grab her. They drag her into a nearby field. And they tie her up. And they rip her clothes from her body. Now they climb on. First one, then the other. Now imagine she's white.
So her name was Nicole Good. She was killed by ICE. She was a white woman. And suddenly, people from all over the world, all over the country, by the millions, as a matter of fact, are marching in the streets. Americans, mostly white people. But I can't help but ask the question, where was all of this energy when it came to Trayvon Martin? Where was this energy when a young black man was lynched on a college campus just a few short months ago? For Tamir Rice, who was just a child. For Breonna Taylor, who was slain for just being in her own home. George Floyd, Sonya Massey. The list goes on, but there was no outcry then. You see, for Black America, we've been here. We've marched. We've cried. We've screamed. We've even had to bury our own children. And we were told to just calm down, to wait until the right moment, to be patient, to be peaceful, to be quiet. So maybe that's why we're sitting this one out. That's what I'm thinking. Not because we don't care, because if we didn't care, we wouldn't even talk to you about it. But because we've already carried this grief, we've already fought this fight. And now, maybe it's time for the dominant group to carry out the fight, to demonstrate, to march, to make the change, because you didn't hear us. And I say that because, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine growing up in a world where the level of melanin in your skin caused, for other people, was like a warning label, where you have to be reminded when you see the lights come on a police car behind you how to behave, because you can't just act like anyone else. You can't even be yourself. Where every siren, every headline, where every viral video is like a gut punch to the soul. Now imagine a world where everyone sees this and they ignore it over and over and over again. And then one day, one fateful day, it happens to a white woman. And suddenly the scales fall from everybody's eyes. It's it reminded me of that scene, and that's why I ran it before, that scene from A Time to Kill. You remember the movie, and if you don't, I would urge you to go see it. It's a pretty old movie, but it's still a very good one. A poignant one, actually, for a time such as this. And in this movie, Samuel L. Jackson's daughter is brutally assaulted, physically, sexually. She's assaulted by several adult white men, and this is just a girl. She's like 7, 8, 9 years old. They throw beer cans at her, full beer cans. They weren't open yet, so they still were weighted. They beat her, they punched her, they tied a rope around her neck and threw her off of a bridge to lynch her, but the rope snapped and she fell down into the creek bed below. Matthew McConaughey plays the attorney for the family in this movie, and in this scene, in this courtroom scene, he says to this all-white jury to just imagine these things as he accounts them one after another, slowly, taking his time, hoping that they would feel some level of empathy for this little black girl. And then at the end he says, well, now imagine she's white. And suddenly, like I said, the scales fall from their eyes, and all of a sudden they feel the grip of the pain, and suddenly to them, she's finally human. So I wonder, is that happening now? Are the scales falling from the eyes of America now? Is white America finally seeing the system for what it is, for what so many have been saying that it is for so long? Because this time, the victim looks like them. If that's true, you have to ask yourself, what is it? What does empathy really mean? What does that say about justice and who it should be handed out to? Who should receive justice? And it gets me to thinking, what does it say about who is really human anymore? I'm not here to point fingers. I don't think I can do that. And at the same time, I don't want you to get into my comment section and make this about left or right or Democrat or Republican. Because when it comes to that left or right thing, as far as I'm concerned, you have a left cheek and a right cheek, and then it's just one big old butt. And the American people who are voting, they're stuck in the middle, wondering why things smell the way they do, or it does, and it smells bad. Let's not make this about race, because if you make it about white or black or Asian, Hispanic, or any of that, I think you fail to realize what a spiritual battle you're fighting. And as long as you don't see it as that, you'll never win it. I think this is a time when we should invite ourselves to reflect on something. To say, maybe this is the moment America's been waiting for. Or maybe it's just another cycle, another news cycle. As soon as something else comes around, it'll be like somebody said squirrel, and you know how when someone says squirrels, you look the other way and then you run in that direction. You know, like a puppy dog would do if it sees a cat. You know, a cat comes up. It could be paying attention to you, but a cat runs across, the field, and all of a sudden the dog just bolts in that direction. We do that when news cycles come around. And so is this just another news cycle? Or is this really real? Certainly time will tell, but the pessimist in me says that it's just another news cycle. Because here's the thing. I believe that we shouldn't have to hold up a mirror to ourselves to recognize the pain that someone else is feeling. Suffering shouldn't have to be familiar for it to be valid. You know what I mean? Just because you're not familiar with the pain that someone else is feeling or the suffering that someone else is going through, in order for that suffering to be valid, it's still real. And justice shouldn't depend on the person who's actually asking for it. Justice should be for everybody. But for some reason, it's okay for some of us when justice isn't handed out to others. So I'm asking you, friend to friend, what does this mean to you? Does it feel different? Does it feel real? Or is it just a temporary awakening? You know, like like when the alarm clock goes off in the morning and you don't want to get up to go to work or to school or whatever it is you have planned for your day, and you reach over and you hit that snooze button. Will America just hit the snooze button? Or is it really being awakened? Again, the pessimist in me, seeing what I've seen over the years, I think you're going to hit that snooze button. I love it if you prove me wrong, but if you're not, if you're out there, if you're marching, let me ask you, and you should ask yourself, and these aren't rhetorical questions, what is it that you're marching for? Are you marching for Nicole Good? Or are you marching for some of those names I just peeled off for you earlier? Names like Tamir Rice, a mere child playing with a gun, a toy gun. Sonya Massey, who called for help. That's the last call she ever made. Because in this moment, people's eyes should finally become open. And if your eyes are opened, it won't do much good if your heart doesn't open too. Maybe this can be the moment that we stop asking Black people to prove their pain. Maybe this can be the moment when empathy turns into some kind of action. This is a little bit heavier than I like to get into on this channel, but sometimes we need to be made uncomfortable in order to realize change. Sometimes we have to make others uncomfortable with our pain in order for them to realize that a change needs to be made. And I say that word uncomfortable because some people think that you can just make a gesture and somehow it's going to be realized by others and they will see it and they will make change, but it won't happen that way. I'm reminded of, as I'm talking to you, about something I saw during these demonstrations. I don't know what it was that I was watching, but there were these people in Boston, Massachusetts, and in their effort to let the whole world know how they feel about ICE, they thought what they would do is that they would reenact the Boston Tea Party. You know, when they threw the tea in the Boston Harbor back in the 1700s. Well, what they would do is to make their presence felt to the world is that they would pour ice cubes into the harbor. Ice cubes into the harbor. What is it that you think that's going to do? What change do you expect there to come from such a meaningless gesture? But this is what a lot of people will do, and this is why I think that some people will just hit the snooze button of life and go right back to sleep, right back to the way things were. Again, I hope that you will prove me wrong. But let's talk about it. Talk to yourselves about it. Talk to your friends about it. Ask yourselves the question, but let it sit with you for a while. Because maybe, just maybe, this time they'll finally see. And if they do see, then what next? What next in your mind? Please drop me a note in the comments. I love to hear from you. I'm listening. I'm here. I want to know, because this time, she's white.